thank you, John, for that. And if you do you have a few minutes just to answer one or two questions, or are you out of time?
Oh no, I'm good. I'm here for you, Lou, and I'm here for everyone that's here. I'll answer questions all night.
Awesome.
Great, but
Thank you. You're awesome, John. It seems like we don't have we have a few, but I think we can get through some of these quickly. So Ben says, excuse me one second. I'm going to try not to talk too much because I'm really hoarse right now. But okay, so Ben says, thanks very much. See ya. He's got to hop off, and I think he's going to go for the SEO package. M Nova, I don't know your first name, but it says, John, for SEO, could I have my blog on blogspot.com and link it to my website, or do I have to have my blog as part of my website? By the way, I have an HTML website, not a blog type website, so I currently have my blog on elsewhere. So she's got blogspot.com for her blog, and then she's got HTML static pages for her website.
Yeah, if
she or he, actually, I'm sorry, I don't know if it's a she or he.
Okay, and that's right. So that's a really good question. If your blog has been on Blogspot for a really long time and people are familiar with it, maybe you have page rank, maybe you have backlinks and place that are pointing to the Blogspot blog. Well, in that case, moving that property is probably not something you want to do all at once. What I actually do is set up another blog. I set up a new blog that's associated with your primary website and associate that very closely with that domain. And then over time sort of deprecate, right, sort of diminish or decrease the importance of the Blogspot blog and have that blog point to your website, your core website, and point to the new blog, and have most of the links that are going out from the Blogspot blog point to your primary website and to your new blog and make that association. It all depends on how new, recent, relevant, and so forth, and how much content you have on that Blogspot blog.
Yeah, she's saying the blog is new. I'm sorry if I'm saying she or he, but you only have an initial, so I guess for some reason I'm saying she, but I don't know. Anyway, the blog is new, John.
Right. In that case, I would pretty much put I'd bring the Blogspot blog to a screeching halt, and what I would do is I would start even migrating content over to your blog. Contrary to popular belief, there really isn't an exact duplicate content penalty. Okay, what happens is that if there's duplicate content on a domain, that can do damage. You don't want to try to, because that looks like spam, right? It looks like you're trying to, punk you're trying to punk Google and trying to punk Google in different ways, and that's not a good thing. But you can actually sort of migrate that content over time. You can do it pretty rapidly if you want, or you can do it over the course of a month or 3 months. But I would actually almost shut down that other blog and move it all over to a new blog, especially because it's new.
Yeah, makes a lot of good sense. Do you have any materials especially designed to give to to the outsourcee that assigns work? In other words, templates suitable for handing off to outsourcees?
Yeah, actually, the short answer is yes. The slightly longer answer is yes, they're in my training programs. Another thing that's really cool about the training that I put together, and that's not the greatest answer, but it really is the truth. The training programs that I always put together give you just about everything that you need. In some cases, I give you everything, like do this, step 1, step 2, step 3, literal, step 1 through 9, let's say. In other cases, I say, look, the general principle is this. You're trying to accomplish this particular task. Here are the 5 things that you need to get done. The order doesn't really matter. I suggest this particular order. The type of resource you need is this resource. And oh, by the way, here's an example that you can use, almost like swipe copy, that you can use in terms of, let's say, hiring someone or performing some task. Like I have someone on my staff, and this person, he goes off and he uses a particular tool. I think it's IM Automator. And it's a backlinking tool. I use it for some of my niche websites. So I explain that too. I say, look, I've got someone who does this on my staff, but I outsource for this amount of money. This is the task that's performed. Here's how it's performed. End of story. Okay. In some cases, it's very, very specific. In other cases, it's not quite as specific because, again, it kind of depends on your business. But there is plenty of content that's in there that's actionable. So yeah, it's not. I don't have unfortunately, there's no perfect answer, but there is an enormous amount in all my training programs that is step by step.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Sebastian says, this is like Zen SEO 101. I love it. That's great. Yeah, it is. Very inspiring and practical. Glad for the response, says Ben. Mariette says, if I'm starting and have no experience, how can I make sure that I choose the right people when outsourcing?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's something that a lot of people struggle with. Is let's actually ask the fundamental question here. What should you outsource? That's actually the fundamental question, because once you know what you're going to outsource, then you can start looking at a variety of different websites. You can look at I mentioned a few earlier, like Elance, Rent-A-Coder, Guru.com, sort of the usual suspects, and you can basically go in, and I've got a couple of different templates for hiring exactly the right people for the task. I pretty much always advise people to do the task themselves a few times, unless it's like graphics, for example, or it's programming where you don't know a lick about programming and you don't really know much at all about putting together a decent graphic. Like I do very little coding. I hack a little bit here and there and make stuff happen. I don't do a whole lot when it comes to actual coding, and I do even less. As you can see, some of my graphics, I do very little on the graphics front. So in those cases, I'm not going to go in and use tools to try to figure out how to create graphics and then outsource it. Instead, I get good, and this is very, very important, I get good at specifying my requirements. Number one, this is exactly what I want, and being specific is it's absolutely essential when it comes to outsourcing. And the cheaper the outsourcing, and really the cheaper that it is, because you're typically moving outside of the English-speaking realm into the non-English-speaking realm. So being specific and very detail-oriented is definitely to your advantage. And then the other thing is, where you can, provide assistance in the form of examples, or provide swipe copy for them to use, or swipe materials. An example of a swipe material or a template or an example would be, hey, by the way, I need let's go with the graphics. Let's roll with the graphics example. You actually show a graphic of maybe a competitor or a non-competitor, doesn't really matter, and you say, hey, I really like this graphic, and then explain exactly why. I like the colors, I like the size, I like the fact that there are 3 CDs, 2 boxes, and so on. And you go on, and you be very specific. And what that does, the cool thing that it does is it filters out certain people and brings in other certain people. Let me by the way, divulge a little secret for you. If you want to find high quality people, I can help you weed out about 70% of the people that are absolutely useless to a particular job you're trying to outsource. So, are you interested in the magic bullet that removes about 70% of the outsourced workers, particularly on these outsourced boards and freelance boards? Are you interested in the 70% removal of useless bids and folks who can't get the job done? Well, the answer is yes.
I think that was a rhetorical question.
It truly was rhetorical. Well, this is what you do, and this is so cool. This will save you hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on how much you outsource. It's very, very effective. I've got different ways of doing it, but I'll give you the gist of it, and it's very easy to apply. What you do is you list your job posts. Okay, so whatever your job post is, you want graphics, you want coding, you want blog setup, whatever it happens to be. About 2/3 the way down, you write in the instructions, as part of the job, you say, when you respond, you must respond with this code word in the subject line. And the code word is whatever you want. It could be, Blue Baboon 2011. Or it can be, Elephant 99. It can be whatever you want. It's some nonsense word or phrase or term. I usually use one little word, and I throw a number in just for fun. And any person who responds to my basically my help wanted ad, my job posting, any person who does not include that in the subject line or doesn't include it right at the top of their response, I immediately get rid of them. I immediately get rid of them, because one of the key components of successful outsourced teams, in other words, folks that I reach out to in terms of building my outsourced team, I'm not very detail-oriented. Most people are not very detail-oriented. But guess what you want when it comes to having work done for you? You want detail-oriented people. You're the leader. You're the guru. You're the expert. You're the driver of your business. Therefore, in almost all cases, you're not looking for people that are thinking pie in the sky or theory. You're not looking for people that, look at the broad perspective. That's you. At least in part, that's what you are responsible for doing. You're setting the tone, and you're doing all that cool, fun, awesome, big picture thinking. You want detail-oriented people. So if someone can't respond with blue baboons in the response, then guess what? You don't want them, no matter how good they are, because eventually they will miss a detail, and it could be the end of you. They can leave out code. They can inject something into the graphics that makes no sense, and you go through a million cycles. So you will save an enormous amount of money simply by and I found that it's the optimum place. About 2/3 of the way down, ask them to respond with, make sure in the response there is some nonsense chunk of text that they must include in their response. That will literally weed out about 70, maybe even 80%. In the case of Craigslist, it goes as high as 85% of the people you will weed out when you do that. Now, by the way, it also weeds out automatic responses. Another problem you'll find on these job boards is that you'll get automatic responses. You'll get the people have scrapers, and they have bots and scripts in place to basically look for new jobs, and they respond to all of them. They respond to every single one. So obviously, if that's automated, they're not looking for blue baboon. If you require blue baboon, it also filters out the robots, the spiders, the automatic scripts, and you're getting a real human response. And it is a huge, huge tip right there for you.
Nice. John, I don't know how it's happening, but after 2 hours and 45 minutes, we're having people come on the call. We're actually increasing the number of callers. Go figure. All right, let me keep reading here. So Martha says, great information. Thank you. Brian is asking about, is there a chance that the mind map and at least the slides can be put in the members area? There's a few questions here asking about what's going to, where the replays are going to be and so on. So let me just say this. In the members area, in ACC, as you can tell, we've gone way past the time for the ACC because, as I mentioned, we're multi-purposing here. What I'll do is I'll take the recording and I'll edit the parts that are the informational parts and John, and a little bit of information about John and his websites and his offer, and leave those in there, and the Q&A, of course, and then some of the longer presentation that we did about the products is probably going to be omitted from the site itself. It's going to be something I'm going to put in my webinar replay, but I will give you links to that webinar replay. So if you want to see the full thing, as I publish it later, you can do that. But within ACC, we'll put what we typically put in there, which is the informational part, and then just a couple of resource links so that you can find John online, and then you can also take advantage of these offers. But the marketing commercial, as it were, is going to be probably left for the full-blown version, and you will have a link to that if you choose to. You can go and look that up anytime. And then probably, John, I'll ask you to maybe, I don't know about slides necessarily, but if you take the training that we did, and I think in MindJet you can export like an outline version of it. If you can drop that into a PDF or something, then we can give them the outline for what they watched on screen tonight, if that would work for you.
Yeah, I can provide a couple of different formats for you, Lou. No problem.
Okay.
I'd love to just.
Yeah, awesome. That'd be really cool. So yeah, we'll put that in the members area for you, and then we'll give you a link to the full production copy that's online as well. So no need to worry, you'll get it. Excuse me. Let me see here. Ben says, I feel so much more human taking this route as has been presented here. Yeah, I like that too. I like that it's really focused on, it's a really interesting perspective, focus on the reader, on the person, and not on the robot, i.e. Google. This, yeah, I don't know if you'll know about this, John. I don't recognize the tool, but it says Sebastian is asking. I was setting up my iWeb SEO tool today. The program said I can set up Google Analytics and Stat Counter. Do I need to do both? Oh, okay. Well, I guess that should be a pretty generic answer. What do you think about that, John?
I tend to go with Google Analytics out of familiarity. A couple of interesting things about Google Analytics versus Stat Counter. They're both analytics programs, of course. You can, in my opinion, you don't need both. It's just more code to clutter up your pages and more stuff to worry about, more data that you probably don't need to pour through. But there's sort of it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, when you put Google onto your pages, the interesting thing is that sort of raises the flag. It sort of says, hey, Google, guess what? I'm here. In some ways, that's great because what it does is it does that announcement to Google, and then there's a result of that, Google will come in spite of your site, okay? Well, if you don't have much content on your website that says to Google, oh, hold on, this is a brand new site, there's not much here, move along. So what I typically do, here's the little judo trick, is I would wait to actually turn on Google Analytics right now. Wait until you have some killer content out there. And that could be whatever amount of content you feel comfortable with. Just get some content out there that's really, really great. Now you know the kind of content you need to generate, which is awesome content. And the more awesome content, the better. Diverse content. Once you're linking out to people, in particular linking out to authority sites and doing other intelligent things with your site, then install Google Analytics. That way you're only worrying about one analytics program, first of all. Second of all, you're making that announcement at the right time. Like, yeah, I'm kind of new, but I'm not totally new, and look at my awesome content. So it's a smart thing to do. Because a lot of times Google will find you and sandbox you. Like, whoa, wait a minute, how come I got sandboxed? Meaning you won't show up in the results. That'll happen. They'll do that immediately because you're too new. They're like, yeah, whatever. And you can bounce around, and you basically increase the stability and the likelihood of you getting accepted into Google and then showing up over the long term.
That's a neat little trick. I hadn't heard that one before. Good job. Brian asks, when you put comment on your competition's blog, how do you put your link on it? How do you word it in a non-spammy way?
Yeah, there was a time where I was experimenting, and it wasn't one of these crazy. I'm just not a super duper detail-oriented kind of guy. I'm as detail-oriented as I need to be, and then I don't go beyond that. So it's sort of I do some scientific research. I have a scientific background, ironically, and a technology background, ironically. Sounds like I'm anti-technology and anti-science, but I actually have very formal training. Anyhow, when I leave comments, when I left comments on blogs in the past, I experimented with my own name, or in some cases a pseudonym, depending on my niche and so on, or I'd leave a keyword. And it was kind of funny. I saw some effect of having keywords, some positive effect of keywords being posted. Now, what I didn't realize at first is that the positive effects were, how do I put it, they were on blogs that really didn't have any impact. So they stuck, but they didn't really add any juice. They provided me with no benefits. I'm like, yes, I've got a backlink. I've got a real nice anchor link there with a keyword pointing back to my site. And in many cases, when I was doing this, they were follow links, right? There's, do follow, no follow. By the way, that hardly matters. People, if you talk to people in the know, for the most part, no follow, do follow, pretty much irrelevant. You can look at Wikipedia, hitting a link from Wikipedia, certain pages on Wikipedia, hey, no follow. Well, it doesn't matter. You're still getting linked to from Wikipedia and so on. But anyhow,
well, seems like we lost John. Can you guys still hear me? Okay, if we're still on the call, okay, you can hear me. All right. So it looks like we're still We're still trucking, so we'll give John a couple minutes to dial back in. I think somehow he got disconnected. So how are you guys liking this stuff so far? Is it relevant? Is it meaningful? Is it actionable? How about a little feedback? Just type something in there. It'd be really interesting to hear. And there's John back online. So yeah, type a couple comments and let me know how you're finding this stuff, you guys. I'm really interested to know.
So okay. The one last thing there, Lou, is that sort of the bottom line is I put my name in there now, or I put my pseudonym in there because the better sites that are out there, the ones that actually matter, if you have some keyword, they'll just delete your comment. Like, oh boy, I don't care how good the comment is, he's a spammer, and all he cares about is that backlink. So I use my name instead, and that's perfectly. The value there is high enough. I'm not getting the anchor text per se, but that's perfectly fine. I'm getting that link anyway. I'm getting the direct traffic and the backlink as well.
Okay, excellent. Let me see. Julie says, John, thank you. This was such a valuable seminar. So many insights. And Lou, thank you for bringing John here tonight. Much appreciated. Yeah, you're welcome, Julie. That's my pleasure. He's an awesome. John's totally awesome, isn't he? I'm just doing something in the background here, which is why I'm multitasking, which that's why I'm distracted. Excuse me one second. And now you'll see as soon as I put this up on the screen what I was doing. Okay. Can you elaborate more on how to move from the rapport level from reclaim broke links to the level where the person will link to you or your comment on your blog? So is the call to action to return your favor by commenting or mailing or what?
Yeah, you know what's interesting? It's the most basic brute force, and I tend to do things this way. It's the most basic brute force approach there is, and what it is repetition. If you continually provide value to people, they end up reciprocating. It just ends up happening. I have an extremely high success rate in doing this. If I just went to someone and just said, hey, link to me, hey, talk to me, hey, look, I'm cool. If I sort of, shook my tail feathers, and that's it, and there was no value, that's it. I'm just kind of saying, hey, look, I'm wonderful. That just simply doesn't work. But if you continually provide value to people, if you're willing to go the extra mile to provide value to someone else, invariably they will reciprocate. If you just say, hey, look, here's another $100. Okay, here's another $100. If you keep handing people $100 bills, eventually they're going to give you the time of day. Eventually they're going to talk to you, and eventually they're going to start asking, why are you giving me a $100 bill? Why do you keep handing me, I have $700 now. The $100 bills keep stacking up. And I kind of say that, in jest here, but if you continually provide value to other people, eventually you just get the reciprocation. And you don't need to, and it's kind of important, you don't need to literally expect anything in return. And in fact, the more that you don't expect something in return, the more cool stuff happens. The most random cool stuff happens. I've had that happen, random cool stuff happen like that 2 or 3 times now. And each time it's been the partner, ironically, it's been the partner of the person who runs the business who reaches out and contacts me. And I realized that I was actually trying to get in contact with the wrong person. Eventually the person who wanted to communicate with me in the business contacted me. It's happened it happened 2 times last year, and it happened the year before, where I was trying to reach the person I thought I should be reaching. That wasn't the deal. The person that was on the front end was really the voice and the face of the business. The person who ran the business, the person who actually mattered in the business that I was reaching out to, was the person who eventually got to me, but I didn't know that. I had no idea. And just being persistent and being cool and just continually adding value made such a big deal. So that just works. I don't know how else to put that. It's part of my personality. It's kind of built in to how I operate, but it's certainly not hard to repeatedly give someone value and be cool.
Okay, cool. And there's a whole lot of great comments here. Absolutely cool. I'm learning how to sell my stuff. This is really way cool! ! Lots of great comments. So thank you guys. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And I won't read all of them, but it's great to see that this has been really valuable for you. And we'll just end on the one question, which is, do drag and drop web building programs like iWeb hurt SEO? I've read a few places it does because of the coding.
Yeah, there's a different question. Okay, with all due respect, that's the wrong question. With all due respect, that the question isn't so much about SEO. It isn't so much even about quality. Some people are like, oh, the quality isn't there. It's not about the content so much. What it kind of comes down to is the debate. And honestly, I don't have the answer to this, but it's an interesting debate on whether or not the footprint that's associated with your website, if you're using templates or using website builders or drag and drop tools, if that footprint has a negative impact on you or not. So the footprint, in effect, comes down to this. The footprint is similar graphic names, similar code literally showing up in the HTML or PHP or whatever sort of back end you have in place, and so on. So is the technology, is the content, are the naming conventions the same from site to site to site? And let's take a step back from that for a moment. There's two things that you need to think about here. First of all is the quality of the content that's on your site. That'll always work in your favor. If you're generating great content, then that's always going to work in your favor and be a very, very positive, a big thumbs up for you. The same principles that you learned tonight, and of course, if you invest in juggernaut SEO or juggernaut traffic, I mean, these are going to work for you no matter what. So that's very good. It's the thumbs up part of the question about the footprint. Like, hey, the footprint doesn't matter. Thumbs up because my content's great. Well, there's the other side of it, which is when we're talking about those templates and drag and drop and that particular footprint being out there, those footprints being out there, then you've got one big issue. The fact is that if everyone is doing things above board, if no one is spamming, if no one is really putting junk content out on their websites, utilizing the same technology you are, and I could go on, of course, but you know where this is heading. If other people are playing by the rules and doing cool stuff, then you're in the good ship. You sort of chew your lot in with the right people. However, if there are bad apples in the barrel, it can rot all the apples in the barrel. And Google does crack down. I know this for a fact. Google does crack down from time to time on different technologies, different platforms. They blacklist. And by the way, blacklisting typically just means de-indexing. You just get de-indexed. It's not like Google can shut your site down. You just don't get any more organic traffic. So there's a risk reward here, right? The risk is you get shut down. The risk is you're in a barrel with a few bad apples. It sort of ruins your site. On the plus side, that's the benefit. The plus side though is speed to market. The ease of technology, distribution, and the lack of care about technology, and the real focus instead on content and providing value to people. That's why it's not a simple answer. I wish there was a simple answer to say, this service is good, that service is bad, here's what you have to watch out for. But it kind of comes down to that footprint and the awareness that I know Google has of different platforms and what that's going to mean to you if you happen to be, if you bet on the wrong horse, and it can drag you down.
Yep, footprints is a big issue, and it used to be because a lot of those traffic generator automation tools left footprints everywhere, and Google figured out that hey, if people are automating the process or using tools, some of them are not exactly kosher in our books, and then they built it into the algorithm, so you can't really get away from it. But iWeb is a tool that's available to everybody, and I'm sure that a lot of people use it. If it's the only way that you have to go, it's better than nothing, but probably want to use it with some care. And at some point, I always like to use like an official HTML editor, like a real HTML editor if you want. And as much as possible, if you're using a blog, you don't have to worry about it so much because the HTML editor is built right in as well. So, okay, John, very very detailed answer for a guy who says he doesn't do a lot of scientific analysis and stuff. I think you dug in pretty deep there. John, you're a warrior, man. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you hanging in there and teaching us so much good stuff and answering everybody's questions. You're really a warrior and a great guy. I appreciate it. It's very generous of you.
Thanks for having me on, Lou, and thanks to everyone who came on, everyone who's obviously still with us. I really, really appreciate it. Like I said, I really enjoy this, and it's personally meaningful to me. It's part of my life mission to help change lives and get people in a position where they're maximizing themselves and feeling great about life, and obviously doing cool and groovy stuff. So glad to come on, and again, thank you very much, Lou, and thanks to everyone who invested this time as well. Congratulations, by the way. I always like to say that. Congratulations. You're in the elite, and I mean that very sincerely. You are in the elite. The investment you're making and you've made in yourself, even in these 3 hours or so we've been together, that is a substantial investment, and it's very meaningful to you in your life and achieving what you want. So, in all seriousness, and I say that with all sincerity, seriously, congratulations on making an investment. The action that you took being here is truly significant. So, thank you for that as well.
All right, fantastic. And as always, I want to thank you for being here. Because you're here, it gives me the opportunity to do work that's fulfilling and fun. So thanks for allowing that. It's been wonderful to see more people coming on during the end of the call. I think we ended up with more people at this point than we started with. I'm not sure how that happened, but it's absolutely awesome, and it's a real tribute to how great you guys are and how committed you are to your success. So thank you. We'll see you the next time. Bye for now. Thanks again, John. Thanks everyone on the call. Bye for now, and namaste.